News Talk 94.5 WPTI, and you're listening to the Wealth Guardians show with Doug Ray, helping you to retire the job but keep the paycheck. And of course with me is Brice Payne. Good morning, Brice. How are you?
Good morning, Doug. I am excellent. How are you?
Can't complain a bit.
I want to, right off the bat, I'm wearing my Wealth Guardians jersey here, and you're wearing the Wealth Guardians shirt, and I encourage anybody to tune in to view these radio shows on our YouTube channel at the Wealth Guardians, and you can see what our jerseys look like. But you know what jersey I should be wearing today?
What's that?
Is a Denver Nuggets jersey.
Yeah.
They have been, I went to my first Denver Nuggets game, must have been about 1974, 73, 74, right around the time the ABA and the NBA were merging. Denver Nuggets have never won a championship game, and all the time. I'm not a huge basketball fan. I prefer football and hockey, a little bit of baseball. But, power to my home team there, the Nuggets. So congratulations to them. And then I want to give a shout out to Wake Forest for, they're going to go up against Stanford here on this weekend on hopefully in round one of the what do they call that?
The College World Series.
College World Series. Should be easy for me to know that. All right.
Yeah, my East Carolina guys, they got knocked out again. They always have a great baseball team, but just can't quite get it to the World Series.
I hear you. Well, hopefully Wake can at least go in there. They're number one, and who's also number one in our hearts is the men and women of the military, our first responders who put on those uniforms and put themselves at risk every day for the betterment of our country, and we want to thank them as we do every week with the Wealth Guardian Service Salute. Thank you for all the sacrifices you make and the sacrifices that your families have to go through. You are in our thoughts and prayers this week, as you are every week. And Doug, thank you for your service as well.
And this past Wednesday was Flag Day.
Now, that one escaped me.
Yeah.
Flag Day. Okay. Yep. I'll have to look up a little history on Flag Day.
Flag Day and President Trump's birthday was this past Wednesday.
That's correct. Correct. All right. Well, let's go ahead. And, Doug, what are we talking about here this week?
It looks like this show is built for teachers.
I love it. I used to be a teacher.
Yeah, you did.
I did. Okay. So, from time to time, we like to look at issues that face people in other professions outside of the financial world and see what kind of retirement planning lessons we can learn from these other professionals. And today, as you say, Doug, we're going to see what we can learn from teachers in the issues they face.
Yeah.
And the first one that we've got coming up is everybody hates homework, Doug.
I hated it. I hated homework.
I was not a big fan of it either.
No. I mean, you're in school all day long doing stuff and learning, and then you go home, you got homework. I just wanted to play. And it wasn't that so much for me because I didn't have any friends, so I didn't want to go outside and play and get beat up. But what I did want to do is I wanted to learn the way that my brain learned, and my brain does not learn from reading words in books. It comes from interacting, listening to conversation, hands-on stuff.
Yeah, and hands-on definitely if it's something physical like learning how to tune a car or whatnot. But hearing somebody talk about, I got my retirement income certified professional certification a couple of years back when I joined the firm here, and listening to those professors talk and converse about the subject was much more impactful for me than just reading it. And so everybody learns a little bit differently, and everybody hates homework. And that really rings true when we're talking about financial planning. Some teachers might enjoy giving homework assignments, but most of them just see it as a necessary evil. And you won't find a student anywhere like Doug or myself that actually enjoys doing homework. But the reality is that there isn't enough time in the day to cover everything that needs to be covered during school hours. And Doug, when we meet with our clients or people who are sitting down going through the financial planning process with us, oftentimes we have to assign some homework.
Yep.
But it is not just the people who are having a financial plan built. After they have a financial plan built, there is still a certain amount of homework to do. We have all of our clients come in for an annual review at least once a year, maybe more often than that. And there's certain things that they need to bring to the table for that annual review. And some of those things are updating their monthly expenses. Well, that's homework that they've got to do.
Yeah.
They've got to track that and know what their monthly expenses are.
The biggest, by far and away, I think the biggest homework we're giving folks is that monthly budget. Because that number is critical. because you cannot build a retirement plan around without knowing what your monthly expenses are.
That is absolutely correct. You can't. We're trying to track the assets that you have, the income that you're getting, be it from Social Security or pensions or whatever else. Perhaps you're a landlord and you've got some passive income there. And we want to track the expenses. And that's the one that people seem to not want to or hesitate in tracking. So you got to do that. Some other types of homework that you might need to just to be doing your due diligence going through retirement is knowing what the CD rates are at your bank. Knowing what your gross Social Security is. A lot of people will know what their net Social Security is once they filed for it and it's coming into their checking account, but do they know what their gross Social Security is? Most don't, but you need to know that if you're going to have a financial planner or a CPA on your side. I just want to remind everybody out there, this is my new slogan, financial plans do not create themselves. They have to be fostered. They have to be brought to life. You want a financial planner to help you do that, but they don't just happen. And we do our homework for our clients, but we need our clients to help us do the homework as well.
Exactly.
All right. If you are just tuning in, you're listening to the Wealth Guardians Show with Doug, Ray, and Brice Payne, and we are talking about financial planning lessons from the classroom. And I know it's the weekend and everybody doesn't want to have anything to do with the classroom or work, but that's what we're talking about. And Doug, the next one we're going to talk about is standardized testing isn't ideal. So as a teacher back in the day, I can tell you that I wanted to teach to my kids' strengths, not to teach around a test. And that's a natural teacher is going to be like that. Now there's some teachers out there who aren't natural teachers and they just want to know what's on the test and teach to that. And okay, I get it. But for those who are naturally teachers, and I like to think I am, you don't want to do that. You want to teach to the students' strengths.
Brice, let me ask you something. Were you a good test taker?
I think I was average. I don't think I was a terrible test taker, but I wasn't a great one.
I was not a good test taker until I got in the Navy, believe it or not.
What changed?
Competition.
Okay.
Fighting for that seat in the airplane, because you're in there with 30 other.
And not everyone's guaranteed a seat.
You're there with the Naval Academy grads,
okay,
with Stanford grads, with MIT grads. So here I am, a lonely East Carolina grad, competing against them. I learned how to take tests.
But you made it.
I made it.
You made it. So did you see you saw some of those other guys not make it?
Yep, sure did.
All right, very good. Well, Doug, our customized paycheck plan, so standardized testing isn't ideal. Our customized paycheck plan that we put together for our clients is a retirement blueprint that details your portfolio allocation, your drawdown strategy, your Social Security filing strategy, your risk exposure, and tax mitigation strategies for the next 30 years. And the reason I'm saying that is we don't create a boilerplate allocation for our clients. When we sit down and go through the planning process with somebody, we have to know the details of what makes them and their household unique, their income unique, their expenses unique, their tax situation unique. And we're designing not a test, but a strategy, an overall blueprint for retirement that is unique to them. It is not boilerplate. And so that's the lesson that we're trying to learn here, is how standardized testing isn't ideal. A standardized retirement plan is not ideal either.
No, it is not. And I'll tell you, everybody is definitely different. Some people want to retire and travel. Some people want to stay at home and farm. I mean, everybody's different.
Everybody's different. What they're spending is different. Doug, I have seen people come in just in the last couple of weeks alone who spend, and this apparently is true, $1,500 a month. I've seen other people in the last month come in who spend $12,000 a month. Yeah. So that's just the expenses. But you can go back to what kind of income they have, what kind of risk tolerance they have, what kind of Social Security strategy they might have that makes the most sense for them. Everybody's different, let alone what they're doing in retirement. So yeah, you don't want a boilerplate financial plan. And if you suspect maybe that your financial advisor, investment advisor, financial planner, whatever you call them, your broker, has just doing something standard for you and it's not really customized to you and your goals and your objectives, I would encourage you to give us a call at 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. You can sit down with us, go through our planning process, and we'll see what metaphorical cracks in the foundation we might see that can be improved upon so that your retirement is your portfolio, your allocation is going to best suit your goals and needs. And again, 336-391-3409. You can also reach out to us at our website, thewealthguardians.com. Doug, did you want to chip in there?
Yeah, so obviously we're dedicating this show to our teachers out there because school's out. One of my favorite songs by Alice Cooper, School's Out for Summer.
I won't sing that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I can sing some songs. I'm not going to try to sing Alice Cooper.
You're a crooner.
All right. Well, we're almost out of time here for the first segment, but stick around for the second segment where we're going to continue talking about financial planning lessons from the classroom. And it is that time. Doug, are you ready?
I'm ready. No, I'm not ready. Let's
All right. I have been waiting for this trivia question for close to a year now. I was waiting for June 17th so I could ask this. Doug, 29 years ago on Friday, June 17th, that was 1994. So think back to where you were.
Okay.
Domino's sold a record number of pizzas due entirely to this television event. What was on TV that Friday afternoon, evening that had no one wanting to go to their kitchens to make dinner?
Goodness gracious.
All right. Stick around for the answer to that trivia question and to see if we stumped Doug on the other side of this short break. This is Brice Payne. With me is Doug Ray. And the show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. News Talk 94.5 WPTI. You're listening to The Wealth Guardians show with Doug Ray, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm Brice Payne along with Doug Ray. In this second segment, we're going to continue our conversation on financial planning lessons from the classroom. Now, before we get to our trivia question, I've got two questions for you. A, are you looking forward to your retirement? And B, do you want to make sure that you're making the best financial decisions for your retirement? Well, I'm assuming you answered yes to those questions, so then I've got great news for you. We here at the Wealth Guardians offer a no-cost, no-obligation, second opinion review of your retirement plan, including a deep analysis of your assets, investment portfolio, insurance policies, income needs, risk tolerance, risk exposure, tax mitigation strategies, legacy goals, and the fees you are currently paying. Our goal is not complicated. We want to help you lower your fees and align your risk and improve your overall retirement picture so you can retire the job and keep the paycheck. But as always, the ball is in your court. You have to give us a call. I'm going to make that easy for you. Our phone number is 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. Give us a call or visit us at thewealthguardians.com to set up your financial plan review with Doug, Garrett, and myself today. And remember, financial plans do not create themselves. All right, let's go ahead and get to that trivia question. Doug, I'm going to repeat it for you.
Okay.
On Friday, June 17th, 1994, that was 29 years ago. Think back to where you were. Everybody out there, think back to where you were in June of 1994. Domino's sold a record number of pizzas on that afternoon/evening due entirely to this television event, to what was on TV. What was on TV that day that had no one wanting to go to the kitchens to make dinner?
Well, I don't think I had pizza that night because I sure don't remember.
You don't remember?
I'm going to guess.
All right.
Was it the hockey championship game?
No, it was not that. It was something unique. It was something that was not planned, and everyone was riveted, and they couldn't turn away from their TVs for, I think it was a couple of hours. It was the O.J. Simpson Ford Bronco chase.
Oh, my goodness.
Everyone was like, well, I can't leave the TV. I've got to see how this ends up. And so everyone was just picking up the phone and calling Domino's.
Really?
And ordering pizza because they were glued to their TV.
Well, I do remember that.
I was up in Nova Scotia at a retreat for several months up there at that time, and we did not get news up there. We did not get anything. So I would have been a perfect candidate for the jury because I had no idea what was going on with Nicole Simpson or OJ or the chase or anything like that. I was completely in the dark until I came out of that retreat. So,
wow.
Yeah. It's like, well, gosh, I go up here and stay away from the news for a few months, and this is what happens. Anyway, so sorry, Doug, we couldn't give you the golden ringer this time, but
guessed it.
Next time. All right. If you got it out there, there. Good for you. All right, so we're going to keep talking here about financial planning lessons from the classroom. And we talked about a couple of these. Everybody hates homework, and standardized testing isn't ideal. Doug, the next one we're going to talk about is age-appropriate instruction. Is age-appropriate, that's hard to say. Age-appropriate instruction is important. And how would you relate that to financial planning?
Well, sure. I mean, you're talking about age appropriateness in terms of your investing and so forth. What's appropriate for a 40-year-old is probably not appropriate for a 60-year-old. Think about it this way. If you're young, you want to be investing for growth, so you can have something when you're 60. When you're 60 and you're sitting there looking at retirement, you need to be safer with your money because you're going to be in retirement 20, maybe 30 years, and that money's got to last you. So you need to understand the risk that your portfolio is taking. And, you're going to have some bear markets. There's no question about it. You got to be able to survive those bear markets. So it's age-appropriate investing along with age-appropriate learning, because a first grader can't learn calculus, right?
You got that exactly right. And, we see when we meet with prospective clients, people coming in to go through the planning process, a great many of them understand that concept in theory up here. And they will even admit to us, well, you're asking me what kind of risk do I feel comfortable taking? It's certainly less than what I felt comfortable taking 10 years ago. And that's good. They realize that. Mm-hmm. But the question becomes, did you adjust your portfolio over the last 10 years to meet your lowering risk tolerance?
And what's going on too is because interest rates were so low for so long, folks' portfolios got to the point where they were assuming more risk to try to get more return. While they thought they were risk averse and thought their portfolio was invested conservatively, they're coming into us, we're grading it, and finding out that their portfolio is really much higher in risk than they ever thought.
I would say that's a vast majority of the people that we meet with. We evaluate your risk tolerance, and then we evaluate the risk that your current portfolio is susceptible to. And I would say 80% of the time, if not 90% of the time, those are not aligned up.
Exactly.
And that's what we do, is we help you align those up. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Wealth Guardians Show with Doug, Ray, and Brice Payne. And in this episode, this segment, we are still talking about financial planning lessons from the classroom. And Doug, the next one that we're going to talk about here is customized learning approaches. So let me paint this picture for you. If English is your second language, there's a structure to help you learn that aspect as well as keep up with the regular curriculum. Special needs students, Doug, have resources available to help them succeed, and students highly advanced in math, science, and other subjects can take more challenging classes, enroll in early college courses, etc. And this flexibility helps students succeed at different life stages, and it's important for a financial and retirement plan to behave similarly. Your plan shouldn't look like your neighbor's since you have your own unique needs and goals. I'm sure you agree with that.
Totally. In our business, Brice, and this, we almost speak a second language, MIGAs, beta, stuff like that. Yes. And what we have to do when somebody comes into our office is we've got to be able to talk to them on their level.
Right.
And just dial it back a little bit. And then we can coach them or teach them and bring them up to speed with our language. And going back to that last point that I said, your plan shouldn't look like your neighbor's since you have your own unique needs and goals. It is not uncommon at all to see somebody say, well, my neighbor has this, and I was really thinking about investing in that as well. Let me ask you this question. If you found out, you're looking over at your neighbor and he's a little bit more fit than you, he's just in better shape than you, and you found out that he's taking Prilosec, would you go and just tell your doctor, I want to start taking Prilosec? You wouldn't do that. So if your neighbor has, say, you find out that your neighbor has, say, 1,000 shares of Tesla or $50,000 in gold, are you going to go out and cash in something so that you've got as well $50,000 in gold, or go invest in 1,000 shares of Tesla just because he's got a slightly nicer house than you? No, it doesn't work that way. Yep. It's got to be a puzzle piece that fits in with your overall puzzle. And just because he's got 1,000 shares of Tesla or whatever, that might fit in with his overall
retirement plan or his overall investment portfolio. Doesn't mean it'll fit in with yours. All right. If you are wondering, do I have too much Tesla or do I have too much CTA, Tesla or shares of gold or whatnot, then I would encourage you to give us a call, 336-391-3409. We're not going to help you just evaluate your portfolio. We want to help you evaluate your drawdown strategy. Do you even have a drawdown strategy? What's your tax mitigation strategy? What's your Social Security filing strategy? All of these things, anything that has to do with money, Doug, we want to help our clients align all of that so that their goals and objectives for retirement, whatever they might be, as you said earlier, traveling, playing with the grandkids, gardening, building a second deck on the house, whatever it might be. We want to help you achieve those goals and objectives in retirement and make sure that you are on track for it. And that's the best way to do it, is to sit down with a financial planner who's a fiduciary, a retirement specialist who's a fiduciary. And our phone number is 336-391-3409.
Absolutely.
336-391-3409. It's as easy as that. You've heard me say it 1,000 times. Doug, let's try to get to one more here.
All right.
Lifelong learning is a great habit to develop. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. You know, being in this business 35 years, it is a lifelong learning process. And I encourage, Brice, when you came aboard the firm, I encouraged you to continue your education in the business. That's why you got your RICP.
Right.
Lynn and Joy. You know, we've given them the opportunity to learn more about this business, getting credentialed in a paraplanner type of credential. So,
right.
You know, we're constantly learning new stuff all the time.
Right.
Because let's face it, the world is changing, tax laws change, investment opportunities change, so it's constant lifelong learning.
It is. And we do a couple of seminars a year, a couple different types of seminars a year. And what that seminar looks like this year is not what it looked like a year ago or
Exactly.
2 years ago. We've got to update the information in there, and that is not an easy process. And likewise, we want to help our clients learn as they go along what we are trying to teach them. You've got to adjust things. We want to adjust the projected retirement date. When we have an annual review with somebody, we want to adjust the projected retirement date. We want to update the forecasted Social Security amount. We want to update the pension amount. We want to help them reevaluate their risk tolerance, update their asset values and income or growth projections. We want to help them re-examine their budget and their spending needs. We want to help them adjust their forecasted inflation rate, even update their legacy goals and their tithing goals. This is something that they need. It's a learning process for them. They think, well, I'm going to go to an investment advisor. They're just going to tell me how to invest my money. No, it's not that simple. There is a lot of things that go on here. And we want to help our clients do that year in and year out. And we meet with each and every one of them every year to make sure that we're staying on track for retirement. That's what you get from a financial planner.
Exactly.
And what else, Doug? We got a few more seconds here.
Well, like I said earlier, this show was about education and dedicating it to you teachers out there who are now out for summer.
Out for summer.
Thank you, Alice Cooper, for that song. That was one of my favorite songs. I'd just crank it up loud as I could.
There you go. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have this week. Thank you for joining us. We hope the rest of your weekend is everything you want it to be. This is Brice Payne along with Doug Ray. The show is the Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And remember, financial plans do not create themselves. This is News Talk 94.5, WPTI.